was never really good playing role of the puppet. Too busy being me to be concerned with perception of the public. Everyone is buzzing, but everybody ain't thinking about a budget. I want ownership in something. Niggas get their way.
So October 3rd, 2025, Sean Puffy Combs in a New York courtroom was sentenced to 50 months in prison in order to pay a $500,000 fine. So it would be 36 months after time served. The judge in the case rejected the defense argument that it was consensual sex between adults. He didn't think it was a rock and roll story. He further said in his ruling that there needed to be a message sent to victims and abusers alike that exploitation and violence against women would be met with real consequences. October 1st, at a courtroom in Oklahoma, Robert Morris, who is the founder of a mega church in Texas, who has been called Trump's spiritual advisor, he entered a plea where he pled guilty to having sex with a 8-year-old till she was 12, from 8 to 12. And he was ordered to pay $200,000 and sentenced to 6 months in jail and 9 years probation. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all you need to know about Trump's America. Any questions?
Diddy was sentenced to 50 months in jail. Okay.
I don't like how they worded that, man. 50 months now? We got to do the math and shit. How long is that, man? How many years, Judge? I'm not that quick with math, especially if I'm in the court.
Yes.
They be like, I sentenced you to 50 months. I'm like, how long is that? How many years? Kids, how many years is that?
Because we didn't do Common Core math. I don't know it off the top. I don't like when parents do the months past 12, that baby is 1, then it's 2. I'm not finna be doing no division.
26 months.
Man, shut up and tell me 2.5.
50 months is wild. Just say 4 years and 2 months, man. Because then, like, if you sitting there as Diddy and they say, I sentenced you to 50, you gonna pause right there.
Right.
50 years? Come on, dog. It was just prostitution. You're gonna be like 50 months.
Just tell me 4 years and some change. I can deal with some change.
That's all that judge had to say, man.
4 years, 2 months.
Yeah.
So Diddy was sentenced to 4 years and 2 months behind bars and a $500,000 fine for the travel to engage in prostitution charges that he was charged with. The judge listened to both sides and he took into account things from both sides that both sides felt like shouldn't be included or whatever in the sentencing, and then the judge came in and he said, here's what we're going to do. So the biggest thing to me, the judge says, we're going to be able to factor in, or at least be able to use for context, the things that you've already been acquitted of. The reason why the judge said that is because he was getting to the point that you can't get to prostitution and the things that Diddy was actually convicted of without being able to theoretically think about how we got here. And when you think about how we got here, Diddy had to be able to force these women, coerce these women, and there was physical violence that happened in order to do so.
But he was found not guilty for all that, for forcing them women in coercion, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was found not guilty. He was acquitted of those things, but the judge ruled based on other case law that they needed to be able to use it in context.
Like the prostitution is too intertwined with everything else is what
yeah. Now Diddy's team did say right then and there when the judge said that they objected to it, they said that they felt like it was not fair because he has been acquitted of these things. The kids also spoke in court. When I say the kids, I mean Christian Combs, Justin Combs, Quincy, Diddy's 2 twin daughters, and his daughter Chance spoke. And Christian was the first one that started kind of tearing up, but when his daughter started speaking, I don't think there was a dry eye in the court. And the judge thanked them for, their words. He also watched the video that we played up here on air before I went to court. And he said that he took that into deep consideration, the fact that Diddy will be away from his family and how they'll be impacted. But that was his ruling. And Diddy spoke for himself in court as well, too. I wrote down most of what I could get. And he apologized to Cassie and Jane. He said he was deeply sorry. He says that he hates himself right now. He turned to his children and his mom and he said, I apologize to you guys. I failed y'all. And he started to break down when that was happening. He couldn't even look at the kids when they were speaking because he was breaking down as they were doing that as well too. And he says that, he thanks the jury for the not guilty verdict, but he also takes the man at charges very seriously because that was something that the judge had said. Like, I feel like at this point you haven't even apologized or, had conversation about what you were actually convicted of. Even though people say that the 4 years, 2 months is too much, I thought it was going to be more because the judge was very clear about, I think if I let you leave right now, you're going to do exactly what we've seen you do. The judge specifically said in court, you posted a video after the CNN beating of Cassie came out. And you said a lot of things in that video that I've heard you say here in court today when you spoke for yourself. But you, at the same time, months later, and you kicked down doors to get to Jane and beat her and all these things. I don't believe that you're in a place that you should be released into the public, and my job is to protect the community right now. I think
how did Diddy look in the courtroom, Lauren?
In the beginning, he was very involved. So he's putting on his glasses, he's reading through things. You could tell he was changing up his notes and what he was going to say, and going back over that the whole time. He needed a couple minutes before he spoke. When the girls and his kids were speaking, he was super emotional, just shaking his head.
What about when he fell to his knees? When he fell to his knees in between the chairs, did you see that part?
They said that was old, right?
Yeah, so that photo of him in the chair was an old photo from back in July, but there was a point where he had bent down, but I felt like he was just getting his stuff together because it was over. But Diddy's team had put in documents that they had something scheduled for him to do next week in Miami. Now what that was Diddy, he's been doing free game with Diddy while locked up. They had worked with the Bureau of Prisons and all these official law enforcement agencies to set up a whole course for Diddy to go and begin speaking at various places to help people not get in that situation that he's in, and to speak to people that are currently incarcerated and recently came home. And they had a guy who was, the head of the program come and speak in court and say why they did that, because he said, when people are involved in programs, once they leave, they don't go back to jail. And what Diddy is doing is very impactful.
Prosecution made it seem like he was hosting a club.
Exactly.
It don't matter what he was doing.
Yeah, you're very
It don't matter if it was a club hosting or not. The fact that you scheduled something, you just know you coming home, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Is he safe though? And you say something about him getting stabbed?
I was going to say Diddy's team is saying no, he's not going to be safe, because in court we found out that there was an attempt on Diddy's life, that there was a man that attempted to shank him, but they stopped it, the correctional officers, and they say Diddy didn't even want people to know that he didn't want to make it a big deal. But of course they're having that conversation about will he be safe because of who he is and how high profile this case is.
Right.
They're also having a conversation. Mark Geragos is a high profile attorney, a friend of Diddy's, but also the dad of Teenie Geragos, who led Diddy's defense about Diddy potentially being raped in court. And we can and just attacks on his life, because they say that people look at him as like a trophy or a prize, and to do something to him.
Well, what if other inmates hear all of the stuff that we've been hearing in the news all of these weeks, and they scared of Diddy?
That's not how they presented it. I don't.
That's crazy to say Diddy's a trophy. He's looked at as a trophy in jail is crazy. Isn't that crazy?
But even more, Charlemagne talk about the inmates gonna be scared. Then where they gonna put him
For
at?
real?
They gotta put him somewhere.
I don't think Diddy gonna be in population anyway. But I mean, listen, all I know is this: if you was facing life and you beat those charges, then you was facing 20 and prosecution wanted 11, and you end up getting 4 with 13, 14 months time served. Man, you need to take that and go sit down and handle your business. I hope Diddy takes this time to beat his drug habit. I hope he takes this time to do some real healing work, and I hope he comes home and becomes a better person.
Hey, it's your boy James TV, and we back with another video for the channel. Hey, definitely getting into it, definitely tapping into this Diddy situation. Of course, we all know by now he was sentenced to 50 months in federal prison, which equals out to about 4 years and some change, right? And 4 years and 2 months, I believe. But it's crazy. You just get to see everybody react, and 50 Cent, of course, reacted. Let's see who else. DL Hughley reacted. The Breakfast Club, of course, reacted. I mean, you have comedians such as Tony Baker reacting to this man getting, 4 years in federal prison, right? For, what he was convicted of, right? The Mann Act. 2 counts on the Mann Act, 1 for Cassie and 1 for Jane Doe. So he could have gotten the whole shebang with the RICO and all of that and been held accountable on all 4 charges, which would have landed him roughly life in prison or close to it, right? So I'm looking at that people like, oh, he got a slap on the wrist, this, that, and third, right? So at the end of the day, The only reason why I feel like he's gotten so much time, or people have demanded that he gets an insane amount of time, is because of the beating video of Cassie, right? Now, with that video, I feel like, hey, let the charge and the crimes fit, okay? The man act, yes, of course, the slap on the wrist, but they didn't catch the crime of Cassie and beating her up in time, and so it passed the statute of limitations. So when you couple that with the violence that was alleged, certain things that he's done to women, you knew they were gonna give him something. He couldn't walk off super light, right? But when they said that, hey, the prosecutors and others alleged that he had speaking engagements and things like that set up and ready to go in Miami, when you see stuff like that, it's like the arrogance, right? The how dare you suggest that you know you're gonna win something, you're gonna get off, you're gonna beat whatever, or you're gonna walk out of here with just time served. No. I prefer them offer him some type of counseling. By the way, Judge Joe Brown, not Judge Joe Brown, Mathis reacted as well, but some type of counseling classes, domestic violence, mental health, because they say he got all these different issues. And I mean, at the end of the day, right, you're responsible for your actions, the things that you do, the things that you say, the way that you move, right? So at the end of the day, if you're not going to hold yourself accountable, eventually someone else is going to hold you accountable for your actions, right? Whether that be man, woman, or child, these things that you do cannot go unpunished, unchecked, undealt with, right? You must see whatever level of accountability that you deserve, right? So with that being said, he got 4 years in federal prison. Now, do I think he'll do the whole 4 years and whatever? No, because he's still get the credit for the time served. There are programs that he can enter and things of that nature that will help him come home a bit earlier. So at the end of the day, he'll still have some type of relevancy. He'll still have some type of bread, money, financial stability, a leg to stand on, right? As far as his son and his music career and things like that, I feel like that is kind of on hold because of the bad publicity from his dad. And I think people don't talk about that part enough. Like, he's not the only one that's affected. There are people around him, artists who are attached to him, people who are attached to business with him. He was the mogul, right? The captain of the ship, all of that. So anybody who worked for him, anybody who was in business with him, they take a hit, right? Due to no fault to them. What if they weren't involved and they had nothing to do with it? And they was just, hey, listen, I'm gonna pop up at the office at the studio, but we're in this publishing situation together, or however that worked, whatever type business you was doing. Let's just say you just wasn't around them on a day-to-day. You just like, hey, pop in the office for a couple hours, boom, you fly back to your office, y'all send the paperwork back and forth. It's just things like that. It's just a partnership, right? But y'all don't have nothing to do with like running the day-to-day or in the office with them, and you got your own situation. So y'all take hits because y'all just attached to him. I think that's the sad part. Like, he's not the only one affected here. And I think that that's another thing. But, again, there are people who've done worse, who've died in less time, right? And it's not to say it's a black-white thing or, it's a optics thing, right? It's a perception thing, right? Okay. Cassie constantly wrote letters to the judge during sentencing, during trial and everything. And, of course, once we see the video, it's like people are empathetic and sympathetic to it. And, you're listening to her words, and like the way that these letters read, she's scared to death for this man. So, of course, the judge like, hey, we got to do something. We got to give you something. You can't just walk out of here today. That part was not going to happen. Now, first time offender, being arrested in the feds, this and the third. Of course, we're like, hey, it's a little bit, hey, I don't know, it's a little bit too much. No, it's not too much. It's not too little. It's just enough. And with the time served, round out to about 3 years of change. Low level security prisons can't stuff like that. It's not gonna be. And then when you got money, it's like, listen, I can pay for protection. And like, at the end of the day, I don't think those couple of years are gonna be that hard. Do he wants to sit down for that long? Absolutely not. So you already rolled it out for basically 14 months. So at that point, be glad it's not 20. Be glad it's not 30. Be glad it's not 50. Could be R. Kelly when you got 30 on top of 30, which is roughly life. If you up in your 50s and 60s and close to it, it's very difficult to do a 20, 30 year sentence. If you're a 40-year-old man doing a 30-year sentence, it's going to be criminal. It's going to be crazy to you. So if a guy's 18, 19, running around the streets to do some stuff and they give him 20 years, he still got somewhat of a life left when he comes home at 40, if he's not completely and indefinitely institutionalized by then. So, man, thoughts and prayers with the victims. Bro did a lot for the music industry, a lot for entertainment, a lot for moguls and entrepreneurship in general. So let his time be his lesson. Let him serve it out the way it's intended for him to serve out, and let's pray that he come home a better man. And let's pray he can rebuild a relationship with his family members and kids. We don't do I hope you suffer every moment. No, we don't do all that here. Over here, it's about getting your accountability, learning your lessons, and then once you learn those lessons, moving forward and being a better person than you were when you got caught in your situation. At the end of the day, sometimes bad deeds, all the time, deserve to be punished, and sometimes you need to learn your lesson. So all the scares from the Howard incident back in the day, Biggie getting shot, the Shine Club incident, all of those things were his small, hey, listen, I'm trying to teach you something here, man. Trying to get you right here, man. Stay away from this, stay away from that. Even the drama with Suge Knight and all of that. Those were the things that it seemed like, hey, he was getting his warnings. You getting the warning, He in the heat.